Hello and welcome back. Today we are doing another starting steps video, this time for Great Britain. What we will be doing is we will first be focusing on the starting steps as they pertain to Great Britain in patch 1.5.2, which is part of the open beta, which of course has features that are not yet fully implemented. You can see with the placeholder icon, stuff of this nature. Specifically, we're going to be focusing a lot on UK's unique companies, their unique interest groups, and also how local prices will affect the strategy for UK in particular, where you want to build this sort of things. And after that, we will be starting a little bit of a flavor run, and this flavor will have two flavors, so that's twice as many flavors as normal for a flavor. And the first is going to have to do with their unique interest group, which is the petite bourgeoisie has this plus 50% authority. Now that's not 5%, there's a zero behind it, that's 50% authority and loan interest rate. And so if you can double this and stack other modifiers, you can actually get minus 100% loan interest rate, so you pay no interest on your loans. And so these two combined, you know, civil service and the old lady freak in the streets, this is going to allow you to have a really strong run. And so we are going to lean in the petite bourgeoisie really heavily and try and figure out how to juice up their clout. So that's going to be thing one. Thing two is going to be, you know, everyone who's played Victoria 3 for, you know, a decent amount of time has gotten very used to their pie being thumbed by Great Britain. And by pie being thumbed, I mean when Great Britain sticks a finger in your pie when you're trying to start a diplomatic play, which is just, you know, par of the course. You know, you're just like, hey, I want to subjugate Nejd, and then Great Britain's like, no, you know what, we're going to get swayed onto that side, and we're going to demand your capital from you. And so this run, we are going to declare one single war as Great Britain, which is the Opium Wars, because, you know, that's part of the local flavor. And after that, we're only going to pie thumb. That's right, we're not going to declare a single war. Instead, we're just going to wait for unsuspecting victims to declare wars of their own, and then we're going to stick our finger in their pie. So let's start with taking a quick look at the UK's companies, which are a new feature in 1.5. We see J&P Coates down through Baclaw, Vaughan & Co. These are all UK companies, and there's another one that's a railroad company. We'll talk about that one in a second. But overall, the really strong one is Baclaw, Vaughan & Co. JP and Coates gives you a ton of textile mill throughput. You get throughput from having them as a company. We see the 20% throughput bonus, and if we get the prosperity bonus, it again would be boosted, but we're really only getting construction speed on this textile mills, and construction bonus is probably the most powerful bonus. So you're going to prefer, you know, companies that have 3 across, and this will give you a lot of things to construct on, but also things that are a large percentage of your economy. So it's not like we're going to be cranking up a ton of munitions plants or military shipyards, and while we will produce a decent amount of engines, you know, Armstrong Whitworth also not that strong, although you know, maybe we can't slough off this Navy offense and defense, depending on how the metagame evolves militarily. Currently, in the beta that we're in right now, you know, it's the military is really not that big a feature, or the military for Navy is not quite fixed, and so it's a bit difficult to tell how good an offense and defense bonus will be. So then we have the Jock and Brown company, which gives 10% convoys. If trade gets improved a little bit, trade is disaffected by local prices, this company might be okay, but again, we're getting you know, construction on buildings we're not really building that many of, but the steel will be kind of nice. And finally, we see Balcow, Vaughan and Company, and this one is incredibly good. And so because of this, you know, the UK's companies are secure in the kind of a high spot because you have one of the better companies in the game, and this is going to give you iron mines, coal mines, and steel, and this forms, you know, kind of the basis of the construction loop, which is usually how you want to build early is you want to really emphasize building all of the goods that are used in construction, because you are going to be ramping up construction. Construction is effectively your GDP growth rate, and so you want to increase construction as fast as possible. And if you're increasing construction really fast, all these goods will end up being expensive. And whenever you have a good expensive, it's not, you don't want to think of it as necessarily being the case that you're trying to bring the cost of the good down, but an expensive good indicates an opportunity for a really profitable building. And so when we have that, you know, steel, iron, and coal company going, because we have steel tools, this will be a really good opportunity to have really profitable buildings, and so we're going to construct a lot of those buildings. So there'll be a high percentage of our economy. So a high percentage of our economy will be getting that 35% construction bonus. And also, when we swap to steel frame buildings, we will be even more into the steel and the tools in particular as it relates to this. The last company that is available, you can slot it in immediately because there is limitations on what you can slot in. You generally need a high level building, but this is Great Western Railway here, which gives 5% prestige and 5% from radical standard of living decreases. Railroad companies in general are a little bit difficult to evaluate. I think the throughput is really value on the railway companies, because generally railway companies do not have any throughput, so this can be a way to get throughput on what is a large percentage of your economy in terms of how much construction you use to build. These railways each cost 800 construction to build, and they don't have any throughput on them already, so you're actually increasing the amount of rails you have by 20%. When we increase our steel throughput by 20%, we probably already had a decent amount of throughput on that steel, and if we have a 50% throughput bonus, we're really only increasing it by the output we have on that steel by 13% because of math. And so it will be a little bit more valuable on this. We're still not going to slot it in. What we're going to do is we are going to prepare. We're going to slot in this one, which is the generic steel company, to start, and then also to start we are going to slot in this tools company. Mainly looking for the construction speed and the throughput. And this one we are going to slot out probably in the near future, but this one is incredibly good, and the reason is giving us 10% state construction efficiency on everything, but we have to get this prosperity bonus. And so what we are going to be doing to gain this prosperity bonus is we are going to be trying to build the steel tall in one place, getting a really big throughput bonus, and that is a loud something outside, but we are going to try and get a really big throughput bonus because the way productivity is calculated, it is calculated on the basis of the goods that are being output, the total cost of them, minus the input goods. We don't include the wages, then we divide by the number of laborers and times by 52, and that's how you get this productivity figure here. And so we just need to have this productivity figure be really, really high. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try and increase throughput here. So to do that, we are going to come in and we are going to put in a decree for encouraged manufacturing, which is going to increase the throughput. This will increase the output goods and the input goods, and as long as the cost of the outputs is already bigger than the cost of the inputs, this will further increase productivity. We're also going to have a trading strategy that tries to depress the price of both iron and coal, and as well as us producing a lot of it, and also export this so that we can, if this is more expensive, if the steel's more expensive, then it will be more productive, though not necessarily, more profitable for our industries as a whole, because coal and the iron might be less profitable, but this is okay because 10% construction is worth this sort of thing. And finally, the third strategy we're going to have is we are going to be using labor-saving PMs really aggressively here, even if they're not profitable. And the reason for this is we're not caring as much about profitability as we are productivity, and labor-saving PMs will decrease the denominator in terms of the employment, which will help to raise productivity even if profitability is harmed as a result of it. So as far as the trade strategy goes, we are actually going to put import prioritization on both coal and iron. We'll talk more about the trade strategy in a little bit, but this is just kind of the first inkling, and we're also going to export on steel in order to help facilitate this, using the companies in this way. Now, we are going to try and rush for a company that lets us produce iron. Currently, we don't have a company that will let us produce iron faster, which is why we're going to use the tooling company for now. But the first thing we're going to go after is the iron, and then getting that unique company that is iron, coal, steel for us in the UK, which requires us having Bessemer process. So for the technology, as a result of needing Bessemer process, we're going to go water tube boiler into Bessemer process. Water tube boiler is just such a good tech that it's, a bit hard to avoid. But Bessemer process, while it isn't like generally a tech you go out of your way for, since it will unlock the very strong UK company that allows us to have, production and construction and throughput on coal, steel, and iron, we will be going for Bessemer process second. Okay, so next up is going to be the unique interest groups here that we have in the UK, of which there's kind of two. This is all Protestants are the same as the Anglican Church, but what we have here is the work ethic modifier instead of be fruitful and multiply, which gives a 10% company throughput bonus, which is going to be quite good. We might lean on the religious folk a little bit, but the real show is the petite bourgeoisie here of the UK, which is going to give us 50% authority. That's 50, probably an input error of some kind, which is a massive amount of authority. If these guys were happy, we would have like 700 something authority, right? And so just absolutely massive modifier, and it can be doubled because this interest group's not even powerful. When they get above 20% clout, their bonuses are doubled, and so a plus 100% authority, that is huge. And so there's also minus loan interest rate, and if you get this doubled, you will pay 0% interest on your loan. So this is going to be the nature of the run. So remember way back ago during the election when we promised everyone we were going to do water tube boiler and Bessemer process like the fascist we are, and then we didn't deliver on our campaign promises. Yeah, we're not going to research any of that ish. We're going straight for the fascist party. This is our research plan for the next 37 years. We are going straight for fascism because we want nothing more than the petite bourgeoisie squad. Now, we have a lot of strategies for increasing their clout because generally it is hard to get them above 20%, but we're going to try and make it happen. They're going to kind of unfold throughout this run. This is going to be a fascism run. William of Hanover, he's petite bourgeoisie already, but here we have, Victoria of Hanover, and you might think, hey, she's a fashionista. No, she's a fascistista, at least for this run, where we're going to be leaning really heavily into fascism. And so this is going to be, the nature of what we're doing, because that's an absurd bonus. You can just imagine how many edicts you're going to get off of this and how many consumption taxes you can roll. And so you can even run like generally lower taxes and get more tax revenue because you're consumption taxing everything. Or, we can go in and on all of the British like local territories. They have so many good lands, and we just put down, decree, resource industry everywhere, like this type of thing with all of our authority. And also we can spend into negative infinity and not mind at all, because we will be paying nothing on interest as long as these guys are powerful and happy. So this is the new tech strategy. We lied during the campaign. Sorry, our bad. We said stuff we couldn't deliver. Nah. That's your problem. Just to be clear, rushing fascism is not good, and I'm not actually recommending it. On top of fascism just generally not being meta or what's effective, you are suffering a huge ahead of time penalty anytime you research something that's one tech tier ahead of what you're doing, and we're going to actually be trying to research fascism, 2 tech tiers ahead. And so it will be that's why it takes 30 something years for us to get on it, but we don't care. Short hair, don't care, or long hair, don't care. Whichever hair, our dear Victoria has. It looks like short, maybe long, can't tell, don't care. We're going to be going fascist. But just to be as abundantly clear as possible, this is never good to do in terms of execution. This is not good, and the way we're going to make up for this is we're going to build more unis than we otherwise would have to, and we're going to rely on technology spread and overflow so that we stay caught up, at least, with every other country in terms of tech, while we rush ahead for some little fascism action here. I do think that we might go multicultural, though, and fascist. So I'm not sure exactly how that goes, but we're going to be a fan of outlawed dissent, and we are also, going to lean into the event chain here, which I don't recall exactly what all it gives, and I do think we will have to go ethno-state at some point in time, but don't worry about that. Just remember the election promises of a strong economy that we would have gotten with Bessemer process and water tube boiler. Just remember what we promised during the election, as, the raging populist we were, and then we couldn't deliver. Just focus on focus on this. All right, next up is talking about local prices and what they look like in Great Britain. Great Britain actually has an enormous amount of territories that are really, really great to build in because they have both coal and iron combined, which means you can build everything that feeds into the construction loop for the most part in these territories, and you can build them up. You build the iron, you build the coal to get the steel tools, the tools that feeds both the iron and this, and so you don't have to pay anything to MAPI. Just briefly explaining market access price impact modifier. What MAPI will do is it will use 85% or whatever percent your MAPI is of your market price, and the rest will be used by the local price. The local price, if you overproduce something, will be really low, and if you underproduce something, will be really high. So if we see here, we see our balance is positive. We see the market price for coal is 30 and the local price is 27. We are producing a lot of coal here in Lancashire, and this is actually bad for us that the local price is low, because since we're producing so much of it, we mainly have sell orders. We're mainly selling out of these coal mines all of this coal, and we would prefer the price to be higher because then our weekly balance would be higher, especially because we have way more coal requirements here than we do sell orders, we have way more sell orders than we do requirements, and so it's more beneficial to have the sell orders benefit because we have numerically more of them. Conversely, if we come here and we look at local prices, we can go the other route and see that, let's find something we're not producing any tools here, and so we see tools are 2.5 more expensive. They're already pretty expensive in the market. The higher something is in the market, the harder it is for it to get pushed up higher by local prices, and the lower it is, the harder it is to get pushed lower. But this means we will have to pay more on our inputs, which is going to eat into the profitability of our industries here. Since our input goods are more expensive here, and our profits are, the output goods minus the input goods and the wages, this also eats into our weekly balance, and so it is preferable to build all the stuff in one spot, and so that we will have an even or roughly even or closer to even variation of balance. So we see here where we have the balance equal is going to be a lot better. Something where we actually have buy and sell orders combined is going to be a lot better overall. So for example, see, this is not a good example because this is by amount, but is there a good example here? There isn't a very good example of something that's roughly equal on buy and sell orders. This is close so that we're almost not running a shortage. This is going to be a mechanic that you do want to pay attention to. And so we're going to want to build where we have really good coal plus iron plus X. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of wood. This is a weakness of Great Britain, but we're going to kind of quickly just take a look. Lancashire is going to be the best place and where we're going to start building. We are going to build the manufactories in Yorkshire because these can feed into the manufactories, and we actually want to build the steel mills tall. We don't want to build steel mills here, steel mills there, all this type of thing, because remember, we do actually care quite a bit about this productivity, and we want to make sure we maintain the bonus, especially in the early game, and so we're going to focus on building steel here specifically, and we also need to get a steel mill to level 11 by the time we get Bessemer process, which is, God knows when, because we're going fascism first, but we will need to have that steel mill up to level 11 in order to use our unique company. So we're going to focus mainly on resource extraction and tools here in Lancashire, and then Midlands as well is going to be the next best place. And then, East Anglia, also quite strong. You notice East Anglia doesn't have a third mining resource. They just have the coal and iron. And also Lowlands is going to be good. Now, as far as the fascist action goes, we actually don't want to build in a couple of places. We don't want to build in Wales, despite it having a decent number of logging camps, and we don't want to build in Ireland at all, even though, there's some areas where it looks maybe reasonable. Let's delete that uni, you don't need it. And we don't want to build here. And you want to know why? Well, this population is not discriminated against, so they're politically active, but they're also not English. In order for a pop to be eligible to be petite bourgeoisie, they have to be exactly English. And so we do not want to be giving a bunch of clout over to anyone in Ireland or in Wales. Scotland is okay because that's a primary culture for us, but the other ones are not okay. Let's actually come in here. We see primary cultures. We have Scottish and English. It doesn't say Irish there, and it doesn't say Welsh there. So we're going to try and avoid building in Wales and Ireland. Also, this is why the UK actually does have a little bit of difficulty keeping the petite bourgeoisie strong, at least at the start. We're going to do a lot of stuff to develop there. But what we're going to do, the first thing we are going to construct up is going to be, building Lancashire to 10, level 10 here, and then building this one to level 5, and then this one to level 5. And this is going to be, our first wave of construction as it relates to local prices. And then we're going to build tools and explosives here, tools and explosives here, and then here we're going to build the steel up to level 11, and then very slowly ramp up steel. Because if we overproduce the steel and depress the price of steel, this will be bad for this company being able to be profitable. But we're going to locally want to build in these 3 at the very start, and then branch out to Lowlands and East Anglia a little bit later. All right, let's talk through spending our top bar resources. We are going to, kick government wages and mill wages up to high in order to kind of fully refund all of our authority. Now, we would have more authority if the PB was happy, and so let's actually just do that real quick and get their bonus, because we do want to go on to elected bureaucrats, or at least make this attempt anyways, which is going to make the PB happy, which is going to unlock their bonus. Now, we would unpause and just wait a tick, but there's something we actually have to do before unpausing. Let's actually just do that now. There's a new mechanic in 1.5, and that's reducing autonomy. We start with Hanover as a British subject in a personal union, but we also get this reduce autonomy diplomatic action. Let's click reduce autonomy. They will accept, and now they're a personal union. Let's unpause. What do they become? Oh, now they're a puppet. So we won't actually lose them when our dear King Hanover dies, the King of Hanover dies, because now they're just a regular puppet. So we get to keep Hanover. So that's kind of like nice thing one. But the other thing we have to do is now these guys are happy, and you see, now we know what we're talking about, what we're working with in terms of the authority here. We are currently using 100, and we have another 1,000 to work with, because this bonus is absurd. Let's also reform the government so we can actually pass a law. I do think we just put the Industrialists in, and this is generally kind of what works. We're going to want to see about maybe exiling this landed gentry, but wait, why can't we reform? Wants to join the Whig Party. All right, let's put the Whigs in. All right, this will have to do. This also is indicative of why we can't raise taxes too high, because it's going to be a pain to pass any sort of laws. So we are going to spend our authority and then tick this back down. We actually can just tick that back down because it doesn't look like it's going to make a breakpoint difference. But what we're going to do with our authority here is we're going to do road maintenance here in Lancashire, and then do encourage resource industry in Lancashire, and then Yorkshire also increase road maintenance, and then we are going to spend the rest on consumption taxes, and then we might actually lower the taxes to make the law pass faster. It's a shame lowering the taxes, we can't bring it up above 50 because laws pass much faster above 50, but this is going to be temporary also until we ramp up construction, but instead we will just put in a bunch of consumption taxes here, so services will be fine. We're going to avoid taxing liquor specifically because we don't want to hurt our lower rung pops, and so we will tax, just sin taxes and luxury taxes for now, and we will also kind of try and keep an eye on the taxes. I think the new changes to radicals make it so you want to keep taxes, you want to massage them a lot more carefully and really be kind of aggressive about using them to hit breakpoints on acceptability of your government, and not just blast max taxes at all times anymore. So this is just kind of another feature of 1.5, but that's kind of spending that stuff. Now, there is a thing that we can do in terms of a journal entry is we can confederate Canada, and we can confederate Australia, and this requires we have at least amicable relations with 2 Australian or Maori subjects, and same with Canada. And so what we will do in terms of diplomacy is we will first de-rival France. We want them to think our friends right before we stick our finger in their pie, and so we don't want any enemies, because it's funnier when your friends betray you. And so we will have no rivals for this run, but also, unless we really need to, but also we are going to want to improve relations with at least 2 Canadians And we see that we cannot improve relations with 2 Australians. What a shame. And we can't do it with another Canadian, so we will just improve relations as we can. Man, if only we had a rival to allow us to improve relations with more people. Terrible. But we have to thumb our friends' pies, and so we will just kind of do it a little bit slower, and that's where we're going to use, you know, kind of all of our top line resources at. We do have some bureaucracy, and we could incorporate, you know, some states, which would make a lot of sense, except when you incorporate a state, you increase their political power, and guess who's here? Not Englishmen. They're not getting incorporated because they don't contribute to the petite bourgeoisie. I'm so sorry. And so we will not be incorporating those boyos. And so we're kind of close to being able to unpause, but I think there might be a couple other things we want to look into and talk about. Okay, the last thing we need to talk about is our trade strategy, because we are actually not going to go free trade. We are actually going to go mercantilism, which normally sucks. The reason it sucks is because you would prefer your trade centers be owned by capitalists who contribute more to the investment pool. However, we are trying to get a powerful PB, and the ownership class of trade centers with them, or trade centers when you have the PB, is going to actually be the merchant guilds, who are shopkeepers, who are predominantly petite bourgeoisie. So this is why we want to go mercantilism. So we actually need to have a trade strategy that involves having, you know, export prioritization and import prioritization on everything. And so what we will do is every building that is capitalist owned, we will have on export prioritization with one exception, or with 2 exceptions, and everything that is owned by aristocrats, we will have import prioritization. So that means grain import, clothes export, furniture export, you know, this export, pretty indiscriminately. We will make maybe an exception for wood. Well, we'll just leave it mid. Actually, let's just leave it mid. We can't produce that much wood anyways. We'll put import prioritization. That might be okay. We also will have import prioritization on coal and iron, as we discussed earlier, but we will go through and kind of do that with just about everything. We won't do it with arms industries specifically, because those industries are incredibly efficient, and we do want to have a local supply of them, rather than, you know, just for strategic reasons we want to have this. Although it wouldn't make too big a difference. We don't want to, you know, be dependent on someone else for arms, be importing their arms, and then we thumb their pie accidentally, and then we're in a war with them and we can't do anything about it. But notably, the big exceptions are going to be the coal and the iron, which we are going to import or put on import prioritization, and then we are going to intentionally overbuild these things. We're going to overbuild coal and iron, and what it will do is it will basically guarantee that we're getting the state construction efficiency modifier. And so we're going to put all that in, and then we're going to be ready to go. Okay, we weren't going to talk about how we were changing up the PMs, you know, because it's kind of regular maintenance for every beginning run. But we do see here we want to be on free churches because they have clerks, which are predominantly petite bourgeoisie. But for the rest of these, we are going to let them be more clergy-oriented, as long as, you know, it is an interest group. See here, this is mainly intelligentsia. We're going to let it be clergy. And here we see this would be more academics. We're going to let them be clerical, but on the petite bourgeoisie in particular, we are letting it slide. We also, you know, put one of these back to wooden holes, so that they would be merchant guild owned, because the wooden, the reinforced ships is generally not profitable unless you have a very kind of exact situation, as a result of the inputs being like a little bit different. You can make it so eventually this PM does become better, and so, but in the short term, we would rather have the PB political strength, especially because we are, you know, going to be leading into that. And then the other one that is also very important is normally you go fishing trawlers and then you have to manually swap over to privately owned. We are not doing that because we want more shopkeepers, and we are also in the early game going to lean into fish more. Something's fishy with our government, but this is going to allow us to try and empower the petite bourgeoisie. Also, we are going to try and export fish as much as possible, increase the price, make these places more profitable. although it will be a little bit on the difficult side. We did handle the Hanover thing, and there's one last thing, is you can re-roll for this. We are not going to, but if you wanted to get the absolute kind of best situation possible, what you would actually want is you would want a landed gentry guy who is a market liberal as a general, and only one that is a market liberal as a general. And the reason for this, or an admiral, and the reason for this is you would want to use your early game exile for a chance at rolling a market liberal. So we're just kind of checking through here. We see there's a petite bourgeoisie market liberal, which might be beneficial. Popularity is very important when it comes to the reroll. And so we see here, we don't see a market, we don't see a single landowner actually. So we might take a couple rolls here and actually try and get something a little bit better. But you could restart for this. But instead we're just going to, recruit a couple generals up. We're not really rolling any landowners, which is not really what we wanted. Which not a normal thing to say. We do see this guy's a reformer. That's not exactly what we want. We want a one who is not a reformer. Royalist is great for us because we're planning on staying with the Royalist, and so this is a-okay. He's a Republican, but this is fine. And we do see that we're kind of running out of slots available, and we still haven't found exactly a landowner that we are looking for. So here we see landowner reformer. This guy, jingoist. Jingoist isn't terrible as an ideology, but we already have a lot of the stuff passed that we want anyways from these guys, so we will also really not mind the church too much. But yeah, just a jingoist. We can keep re-rolling, but I think we're just going to go for the luck of the dice. If this guy doesn't re-roll into something we want, authoritarians are fine for us. Okay, moment of truth. Or you're just a jingoist. Alright. Well, we'll recruit this loyalist guy, but then we're just going to re-roll this guy, because traditionalist is traditionally not a very good one, and so we're going to exile this dissident, and now he's in exile, and we rolled a jingoist, which is fine. Not ideal. We would have preferred a market liberal. That's what we really wanted, because another law that's going to be very important for us to pass is laissez-faire, because it gives you access to another company. In our case, it's a third company. We also put in a bunch of trade routes. You can see that we are actually running a little bit of a negative bureaucracy. As a consequence, our trade routes are going to be really expensive, but that's okay, because you know what? You know who's employed in here? You know who's employed in here? Bureaucrats, who are somewhat petite bourgeoisie. I guess it's more academic than we would have liked, to be fair. I think it's the ports, maybe, that we overbuild in terms of government buildings, because they tend to be employed by, let's check the workers here. The workers are, yes, so bureaucrats and clerks. And the clerks are primarily petite bourgeoisie, and the clerks, I can't remember who has a wage multiplier, but there's 12,000 clerks. I can't remember their wage multiplier, but they will employ a lot of clerks, and also the ports will allow us to run more trade routes, and these trade routes will allow us to, try and make the trade centers more profitable, and they are owned by, or going to be owned by, the merchant guilds. So let's peel a little bit of an unpause, and, or actually, is it a journal entry for no, it's not. We will get an event here in just a moment with Great Qing, and this is going to be the only war we declare in the entire game. Lancashire. Did we get it? Where's our event? We get the Hanover Secession, and there's our Opium Wars here. And so this is going to be the only war that we declare. We give them the ultimatum. They are going to say, kick rocks, and now we have to reform, or we get a free government reform after our election. And now we see we are at 45, and so we're going to lower this one tick, and now we will be at contested government, which is going to give us less penalties than unacceptable, which decreases Oppo group interest approval, and a lot of radicals from standard living decreases. The radicals are more targeted now in 1.5, and more importantly, decreased enactment time, and this just gives minus approval when we're in contested. And so this will be really good. Qing is going to tell us to suck it. No? Oh, they already told us to suck it. So we're going to declare the only war we declare this run. The only one. And we are going to go for a conquer state Beijing. And we are also going to go for, maybe we just, we'll put that in for, or actually, they might just back down. I forgot we have to force it, right? But we will consider what else we want to put in here. God save the fascistista herself, Queen Victoria, as she will be. And the very nice one is, look, oh no, the members of the Hanover Customs Unit will leave our economic sphere. Oh no, what else will happen? It breaks the personal union. Oh no, what will happen? Too bad it's not a personal union no more, huh? Too bad it's not a personal union. Yeah, this is a puppet rather than a personal union. We high roll a pretty nice event here that is going to give us 20% enactment chance on elected bureaucrats. Elected bureaucrats notably didn't point it out, but it does give increased petite bourgeoisie political strength, and so this is something we want a lot. Another thing we have done, and that we will keep an eye on, is everyone who's a market liberal that is promotable as an admiral or a general, we have promoted to max rank so that they contribute as much clout as possible to the party, and so we currently, you know, are sitting at a pretty low level, and a big part of this is the fact that we have a lot of pops that are not, English in our country that are also not discriminated against. We don't discriminate against the Irish, unfortunately, and so it is going to be easier for them to gain some clout. We are also going to actually rake back one of our consumption taxes and instead use this authority to bolster the petite bourgeoisie, which will be nice. Another thing we got to keep an eye on is coming in here, yep, is that censorship will give increased impact of bolster and suppression and outlaw dissent even more. And so if we are relying on this mechanic in order to pump up the petite bourgeoisie, this is something that we have to, keep aware of. All right, we do have ourselves a bit of a war. The war goals being conquer Beijing, open Qing market, Qing war reparations, liberate Mongolia, and perhaps the strange-looking conquer Hebei. And I know what you might be thinking. Why would you conquer Hebei? Shangzi has way better resources. They have some oil that's undiscovered too. Well, Hebei gives access to a unique company that looks quite strong. And so as we scroll down, let's find this company. This is the Kaiping Mining Company. Notably, railways generally are a rather large percentage of your economy, so getting both throughput and construction on railways seems very, very, very strong. But on top of that, coal's going to be a big part of our economy, so getting it on them as well is going to be good. And tech spread is going to be something that we're kind of interested in because that's how we're going to be getting our tech. And while, we should have a big enough eco that it's really not too big a difference, the fact that we're going to be acquiring all of our tech except for fascism through economic spread does make this kind of attractive, but is mainly attractive because it's giving resources and also, railways, which is particularly good. Coming up in the queue, we have 6 iron mines in Lancashire, which will give us exactly 11 iron mines here. And what we will do, because our company here isn't even profitable and we're going to be mainly doing iron mines, is we will disband this company and instead slot in a company that gives us iron mines, or the generic iron company, which is iron and lead, which will be nice for us, at which point, this kind of comes in. Also, kind of using some of the mechanics here, we have already stationed or sent our guys to be stationed over here in Singapore early on in the war. And so now what we can do, now that the war is actually popped, is just have a naval landing of Beijing and also with both of our kind of armies and fleets, and this will go over quite well. For us, at least. Not for the Chinese, but we only care about the Englishmen this run. Landings notably work a little differently in 1.5. Instead of automatically getting in on the first battle, what we will instead do is we will win the battle, and then we will gain progress towards occupying the entire state. So we don't establish a front, instead we occupy a percentage of the state, and once we fully occupy the state, the entire state will be transferred over to us. And so for each of these battles, we will have to suffer the naval landing penalty, and also they can disrupt our navy with theirs once we get onto a later version. Currently this is not in 1.5.2, but by the time 1.5 gets released, you will be able to wipe up one of these naval landings, with your own navy in order to kind of sweep them aside as they're trying to land. Okay, so we just finished our 11th iron mine, and I think this might be a requirement that they do away with, that you have to have 11, but now we can disband this because we're not getting the prosperity bonus anyways, and instead slot in this this one and really try and work on building up our iron production and our tool production here, because that's where we are getting construction bonuses. Also, don't know if I mentioned, we have a bunch of negative bureaucracy right now. We're not going to deal with it. That's not our problem. We're instead just going to wait until we take Beijing, because they have a ton of government admins, and also Hebei, because they have a good amount, and we are going to incorporate Hebei because this is necessary for getting the Kaiping Mining Company. We also eventually do want to incorporate Beijing because they will suffer negative throughput from being unincorporated, and we do want that legitimacy and authority. Overall, they shouldn't get too much clout because they're all discriminated against. At least unless there's any Englishmen there, which I don't think there is. But this is kind of the plan for that. And so for the rest of our queue, what we will do is we will really look to push the iron where we have specifically our edicts for, road maintenance, and also where we are either encouraging resources or manufacturing here. And so we'll just, blast this up a little bit and blast this up a little bit and really look on that while, auto-expanding the tooling workshops. This place is going to need more tooling workshops than the other place, but we'll just cruise along here, as it were. And we pip elected bureaucrats here, which is going to be super nice for us. It actually makes it so we're not running bureaucracy malice, which again wasn't a problem because we're getting a bunch of bureaucracy coming on up. But now we are going to go for the very, very important to get laissez-faire. But I think what we're going to do is we're gonna say sorry to our petite bourgeoisie guys, and we're instead gonna go for a government that is righteous, because we will get additional enactment time and additional loyalists from standard of living increases, and so this will feel really nice. As far as the construction goes, it's just been iron and tools all the way, baby, and it will be that way for at least a little bit of time, but hopefully we get a very quick law pass. Hey, we almost got labor movement, baby. We're well on our way to fascism. Okay, so we win our war with China, and this will be the very last war we actively declare, with one exception. We will go after our own subjects, because surely that is the most basic form of pie thumbing in existence. Here in this war, we actually got swayed in exchange for Ceylon. They just gave us that territory, and we will be going for this on everything. So, when the US goes for Mexico, thumb and pie. When France goes for more of Algeria, we let them take Constantine because we were, just doing this Chinese thing. Thumb and pie. Every single play that comes up, their pie is going to get thumbed. So Norway and their overlord Sweden think that they can just put down a rebellion in their own country? I think not. I think that that's British land that we're talking about here. And why are they fighting over British land? I'll never know. We see Prussia side with Sweden. That's not our problem. That's, that's, to be fair, that's the Norwegian religious revolt's problem, but, if we don't win this, not a big deal. Did they get swayed for anything? No war goals on us. We don't even have to worry if we lose. No problem. Would you look at this? Someone else researched Bessemer process, and so now we're natural spreading it. Very, very nice that we will be able to use that company that is really, really good for us soon here. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to put 3 more steel mills kind of in, we'll put the steel mills at the back of the queue. Right now, we'll just keep on trying to push this iron and the tools specifically more than anything else. We will also double check infrastructure because the construction bonus is so good, but we are going to be slotting in a different company here soon. We'll put a couple railways here at the top of the queue, and this one we'll put at the back of the queue. But we are going to get another company when we enact laissez-faire, so that'll be good. We're also doing a naval landing here. Now, again, the military beta, pretty buggy. There's stuff going on, but we are trying to hold up here while we land and enforce here down here, and it looks like the strategy is going to play pretty well for us and our, soon-to-be subject, the Norwegian religious revolt, who, of course, will be Protestants like us, and also part of our customs union. Consider your pie thumbed. Alright, with Bessemer process unlocking, or soon to unlock, our special company, we have another requirement here. We have to have a steel mill at level 11, but we're going to slot this in here. That way steel will produce a little bit faster. We kind of don't like it being produced in the home counties. We do see we're now getting the prosperity bonus, and so we can expect the state construction efficiency bonus here soon. But what we will also do is will increase the steel mill up to a level 11, because what we would prefer is that this company instead be our strong unique company, and so we'll move in that direction. Or actually, we might even ditch this tools company. We'll see how that shakes out. We do see, we forgot to get in on this. Damn. Unfortunate. We missed out. We should have thumbed a pie here. But I mean, it's our own subject, and they're just going after Punjab. This is pretty okay. But that war pops off. I assume that's what they're going after, and it looks like we're probably going to end up enforcing here in this war too. Look at the United States of America here, trying to be somebody. They have these Native Americans they're oppressing. We will not tolerate that. What we will do, we'll ask for some Wargals, and we will ask for New York. This is an appropriate response to the affront of them trying to colonize. You know, how dare America engage in something like colonialization of an indigenous people? How dare they? So we'll take New York from them off of that. How dare they? Ah, yes. British Norway. We unlock nationalism, which we probably should have researched first, just for the fact that it will give us authority. Although, to be fair, we have so much authority that we're floating it just to pass laws faster. So we finished nationalism. We should have researched it earlier for the authority, and because this would allow us to confederate better, because it does require that we have nationalism research. As far as the laws go, it looks like we can increase taxes a couple notches and not get people too tied up, because we have a super righteous government here after our recent election. The petite bourgeoisie, their clout is doing nicely as well here, and so we are going to look for a law that we want to pass. I think we do want to get on guaranteed libs, maybe, you know, before going towards censorship. This is a little bit of a thing, but, you know, perhaps this does not fit with the fascistista run, you know, main idea, and we could have a higher suppression impact on intergroup attraction. And so maybe we want to lean into this as a use of our authority here, and go secret police. We also almost certainly do want to go censorship. So let's commit to the meme here. I really think guaranteed libs is a lot better. Don't do this. But you know, we're going to commit to the memes, and we are going to go censorship, which is going to give us more authority, less technology spread, and also make everyone currently pretty happy. And you know what it's also going to do? It's going to give us that 15% loan interest rate bonus, baby. On top of this, it will help to positively affect our bolster and suppress. And you know who maybe we want to suppress out of kind of this state of affairs? Maybe we don't want the Intelligentsia around anymore. Maybe we just want to wish them a farewell, because I think they are going to be a thorn in our side if we are leaning into both the petite bourgeoisie and the Anglican Church, as it kind of seems we are. We're also going to get company throughput bonus, baby. That's going to feel big nice. I think maybe we want to suppress the Intelligentsia into oblivion. Of course, this means the end of a multicultural potential, but maybe we'll just hang on to our authority right now. We can't suppress anyone here. We maybe actually want to suppress these guys to get rid of their malice. I don't think we're going to do anything with the rural folk, so let's suppress them, which will give everyone else a little bit bigger share of the pie. Well, not everyone else, because that's not how attraction works. But you know, this war is also just starting, just underway. We got a couple landings going in. And so, one on New York and one on DC, and if these go pretty well, which they are looking to be going well, then we'll be in good shape. Now, we are running a huge positive, and of course, you know, money's not real anyways with this loan interest rate. We're barely going to pay any interest. Look at this. It's under 4-digit interest here, right off the back of us just bipping that. And so what we'll do here, is we are going to max out the construction sectors in Lancashire and max them out in Yorkshire as well. And so now, after, you know, we kind of build up these two spots a little, we will have to start expanding if we want to maintain efficiency. But this is where we're going to be going now. Almost certainly we could put in some iron there and have it be good. And we are going to just eyeball this real quick. We're going to add another railroad to the front of the queue because we are adding a lot of buildings there. And then we're going to let that play out as we go for our dear old friend censorship. Now, America, of course, enforces on the Arapaho, as if that was what we even cared about anyways. You know, we're not even trying to... This isn't what pie-thumbing is about. It's about just taking New York for no reason, because this is what the UK does to everyone else. And so we're now turning it around. We still have this war. Notably, Liberate Mosquito Kingdom is kind of funny that they're now the primary. So they might get enforced on if they land this. I believe this is our subject. But in Liberate Lower Canada, oh no. We're winning this, though. And we're landed in on their capital, and we're about to land in on New York, and so we're in excellent shape for enforcing on them here. But we do see this. look at the Ottoman Empire trying to re-seize claim of what they think might be theirs. Let's see who will give us what. Okay, so these guys only give us war goals. Let's see what Egypt gives us. Oh, look. Graciously, they're like, you know what? If I can't have it, Kebab certainly won't have it either. And you know what? We're inclined to agree. So we're going to take one of the states that Kebab is going for anyways, because this would be the most frustrating for you as the player. And so we see Adana, Aleppo, Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, right? And so why don't we just take... You know, Adana, I think, is the best one, if I recall correctly. It's not important. What's important is sending a message. And so not only will we, you know, interfere with their war and, of course, crush them, we will also, just no matter what happens, they won't be getting Adana, which was the first... Well, actually, what's the first one they put in? That has to be the most frustrating. This has to be what... Yeah. So this was their first demand. It has to be the one they want most. Guess what? They will not be getting it. We will be getting it. We brick their war goal because they are going to come in over here. Now, the British Chinese army, naturally, is traveling to England HQ. We don't really want them traveling to the English HQ. They are mobilized. We're going to move this army over here. I don't know why they're traveling. I don't know why they left this... They should just stay here. Again, this is just a feature of the bugginess, so we'll resolve that, but I don't know what's going on here. They should just be pushing this front, but we'll figure it out. War breaks out, and we have Adana. Now, we could just leave this war anytime we want, because... Oh, wait, they still have Return Adana on us, so we can't leave anytime we want, and we actually do want to fight this out. This seems to be a little bit of an update, that they made it so you can't brick war goals in this way, which is fantastic, because you never should have been able to, but we will be finishing up this American war here first, ideally. Unfortunately, since Mosquito Kingdom is the negotiator here, they will be the ones that have to be reckoned with. Our guy did get bugged off that front, but that's not our problem, except it is, and we will be looking to try and get something done here after we finish with the US. We finished enacting censorship, so I mean, we might as well get secret police while we're here. You know, we've descended into the throes of Actually, I don't like getting secret police yet. You know why? Because I think we were going to use secret police to make sure that these guys are happy at some point later. So I think we'll just put that in our back pocket for now. We could go state religion. This is one, you know, I'm uncertain what the strategy is going to be here for trying to get pops. I think we either go multiculturalism or ethno-state. I think it's one or the other. And I think that we can go multiculturalism and also maybe freedom of conscience, but also maybe state religion, in order to try and solve pop problems. But we might end up going total separation, which is one of the reasons I was kind of leery about depressing the Intelligentsia. And so I think we're going to leave these two alone for now. We're going to leave the home affairs alone with the understanding that we want to kind of do things in that way. And then there is a little bit of a change we would like to make. We do want to be on public schools because it gives assimilation. And so let's take a look. Who supports that? The Intelligentsia. So can we get the Intelligentsia in and go for public schools? And in this case, this should help out quite a bit. And we can't do a new tax system very easily, so that's going to be a little bit sticky too. In fact, we might want to go land-based taxation so that we can go up to proportional taxation. How upset does that make people? Really upset. Well, it importantly makes the petite bourgeoisie upset. So maybe we did want to go secret police so that we could go up so we could go back down. That is a bit unfortunate. Let's see what we can do in terms of reforming. Yeah, this is fairly legitimate. You know, it's not as legitimate as possible, but now we can make the switch to public schools, which is going to give assimilation, which is going to be critical for us. We're going to lose out on some conversion, but whatever. Even if we go religious, I think we prefer the assimilation over the conversion. And so that's what we're doing in terms of the law pass. So we unlock Bessemer process. Of course, we're going to turn the PM on, but more excitingly, we will get our unique company here. So we're going to turn the PM on, and then we're going to say, hey, we don't need the Lancashire premium metals. You know what's really premium? Balcow, Vaughan & Co., which is going to be super big nice. And then this is kind of, I think, going to be our setup for maybe a little bit. We could have saved the iron one in here, but I think I'd rather have the construction bonus efficiency on the tooling workshop specifically. And, you know, we just go tools, coal, iron, steel, and this is kind of it in terms of what we're doing. And we are getting this 10% state construction efficiency. We also saved the day by landing on, you know, Lower Egypt, you know, forcing them out here so that they could no longer tick them down, while at the same time, the Ottomans also can't get ticked down. So we're going to need to land on their capital with someone else, which is going to be what we are going to try and do here now. We are going to land, let's see if we can land with like a sneaky stack. Let's see if we can land with this little 11 stack and see how that works. If those guys can get in, we can start ticking them down, but we'd also be super okay with a status quo where everyone but us loses because we got a Dana anyways. You know, Egypt doesn't get to conquer anything. Egypt doesn't get to conquer anything. The Ottomans don't get any return states, and we just get a Dana, and we just like, hey, we're just being the UK, man. What are you guys mad about? So we get a little bit of an offer of a peace deal. We see return Lebanon in exchange for conquer Ottoman Adana and conquer here and conquer Konya, which is going to lead to some pretty cursed borders. So of course, as the nemesis of this run, you know, as the bad guy, we're going to accept this because everyone knows that you have to lead to the most cursed borders possible here in Egypt because obviously we are trying to aggravate as many players as possible, us playing as the ideal big, thick, fascistinista mummy who's going to stick her finger in every pie. But I think that's going to be an episode for today. Next episode, we're going to be going back and thumbing another pie here, probably taking Pennsylvania, depending on our infamy. We're pretty infamous. We have only started one war. How can we be so infamous? But maybe we can find something else that also looks appealing. Just very easy to abuse the USA here. Either way, we are going to want to station these guys over here, just kind of in preparation so we don't forget. We might want to also thumb this pie as well. You know what they say, no pie left unthumbed. We're gonna finger everything here. And so this is kind of what we've been doing. Just to like recap, you know, some of the things going on with the UK. We do have the very, very powerful, unique company, the Balcow, Vaughan & Co., which is going to give us a huge amount of construction speed on the things we're really constructing as we're ramping up here, which is iron, coal, steel. We are also just going to have so much throughput on steel. Like if we take a look at our steel bill here, yeah, the throughput is 60% with a level 11 steel mill. It's not even fully employed. Employment is going to be a problem in other ways, but we'll worry about that later. But it is hyper productive here, which of course is the goal, more so than necessarily getting it fully employed. We like overbuilt it. We really don't need this high level, and it's also inefficiently supplying stuff like tooling workshops in other states where they don't have any local steel production, and maybe we want to make some local steel production. Maybe we make some trade moves. We also kind of dedicated ourselves to this fascist start, which of course is tremendously inefficient. We're going socialism, so maybe we can do some interesting taxes. After this, we're going to be going anarchism, and then pan-nationalism, and then finally political agitation, which is quite a long ways off. So we are at the mercy of our tech spread currently right now in regards to what techs we'll be getting, because obviously this track's going to move incredibly slow. Another thing is we also next law pass, I think, after we get public schools, we will be going on to mercantilism, and the reason why is this will change the ownership of the buildings to being petite bourgeoisie. But that's enough of kind of like a little bit of a summary. We just started the pie thumbing, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. All of that does help out, and other than that, have a good one. Hope no one thumbs your pie today.